Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you back to a video I kind of been wanting to do for a while now, and I don't think I actually ever talked about this topic on my YouTube channel. I think I might have made hints to it throughout my YouTube channel, but I've never really talked legitimately about it. But given that I want to start pushing more anime-esque topics on my channel, and I have done over the years various different anime topics, from when I started back in 2006 to now, it was never a major thing, but I've been wanting to push more anime content as much as I do, like, video game-esque stuff and whatever, my Smash Brothers content, my 5 list, top 10s, and anything else I've been wanting to really do. My drawing videos I want to start getting into. I want to start pushing more anime-esque stuff on my channel, and I've mentioned about, like, next year I'm going to try to go to doing more, like, top 10s and stuff like that. I've done little things here and there, but I've never really done too much anime content, I don't think, on my channel, but I've been wanting to get into it a whole lot lately. But I think in order to have us, to be able to do that and talk about that stuff, I kind of have to have a starting point here and a discussion of myself to you guys about basically my anime origins. Basically, where did my love for anime originate? Where did where did I start? And I don't think I've ever talked about it on my YouTube channel. I mentioned it, I think, a few things here and there, but I never went into full detail, I think, on it. And that's why I kind of just want to do a quick video here, just mentioning, like, my anime origins, just so you guys know where I specifically came from. And you can compare and contrast, like, where you came from, how you got into anime and whatnot. But it's like, I just want to kind of give my 2 cents and just let you guys know how I got into the field, how I got to be a fan of anime, manga and stuff like that. So first and foremost, obviously, like a lot of people, I'm assuming when you were younger, and back then, a lot of the term was usually Japanimation too, before they really got into the term of anime. I think that kind of came in the 90s a little bit, but like in the 80s and 90s, and I think 70s, 80s, and 90s, I think the term was Japanimation for the most part, because it's just, it's animation from Japan. But here's the thing, you never, like, a lot of kids, and I hear this the same thing when I watch other anime channels on YouTube and whatnot, and talk to other anime fans on Facebook and Twitter, YouTube and whatnot. For most people, they just grew up and they just saw it as cartoons. They just saw, like, oh, there's Bugs Bunny, and then there's Dragon Ball Z. There's, Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Bravo and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Thundercats and G.I. Joe and all these different Disney Channel shows and the Nickelodeon stuff like Ren and Stimpy, or, Rocko's Modern Life, or the Rugrats, or Hey Arnold and whatnot. And you can compare it to, oh, there's Sailor Moon, there's Dragon Ball Z, there's Yu Yu Hakusho, there's all these different, like, shows, like Inuyasha and whatnot, Pokemon, Digimon, stuff like that. But, like, I didn't distinctly know that was a term for Japanese animation until I got, like, probably in middle school, early high school. I didn't, like, when I was in elementary school and middle school, I didn't really tell the difference too much, especially elementary school. But, like, as you get older, you learn about it. You talk to people online once the internet really became a major thing around the 90s and early 2000s and whatnot. Then you kind of learn the term and whatnot. But yeah, like everyone else, I basically started off in the 90s, as I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 1990. Around, like, the mid-90s, pretty much getting into shows that were on, like, Cartoon Network and whatnot. And this includes Toonami, but not as only to Toonami. My first ever anime that I recall ever seeing was the original Speed Racer, when they showed it, like, on Boomerang, I think it was on Cartoon Network in the mid-90s. I remember seeing, Speed Racer. I loved the characters. And obviously back then, I grew up loving, like, Scooby-Doo and, like, Disney and all that stuff, so it integrated really well, because, like, it is an older anime, and even when you're younger, you can't really tell the difference. But like, it has interesting characters and story and racing and speed and action and everything. Obviously, a young boy would kind of gravitate to something like that. And Speed Racer was a really, really cool anime. I still love it to this day. That's the reason why I have the series complete on Blu-ray. I do love the original. I never really watched any of the Speed Racers post the original. And I've never seen the live-action movie, even though I've seen bits and pieces of it. And it does seem interesting. But, like, I love the original Speed Racer. And that was, like, the first one I can recall ever really seeing. And then the obvious one for probably a lot of kids growing up in the 90s, especially boys, with Toonami, were the likes of and girls too, for that matter, because I'm not trying to gender divide here or anything, but, like, the 2 biggest animes, I think, at least being pushed Western wise in, like, the mid to late 90s, was Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. And I got into both of those, like, almost around the same time, I think, around first grade. Here's my story, I think, of how I think I've first ever seen Sailor Moon. I recall being in first grade, and for some reason, at the end of the day when I was in school, the teacher put on the TV and put on, I think, Sailor Moon. I don't recall why or how, but that was like my first ever. My friend was coming over my house after that, and I can recall. I can't vividly see it entirely in my mind, but I recall seeing it in TV. I think it was the first episode, but yeah, and then I just gravitated to it because it's just cool. Like I was a fan of like superheroes. It doesn't matter if it was like a man or a woman, boy or a girl. It's just superheroes. Just being superhero type characters is cool, and I love Sailor Moon growing up. It's one of my favorite anime of all time. And then Dragon Ball Z, like somehow my friend Marlon kind of got me into that around second grade when he started. Because my friend Marlon got me into like probably a lot of anime-esque stuff because he would always go to like Masquerade Games, which was like the store by us that had a lot of Japanese import type stuff. He had the Japanese PS1 Dragon Ball Z games. He had a bunch of freaking toys from Dragon Ball Z, which a lot of them were like the Japanese ones. Not the packaging you would normally see the American toys coming in, but a lot of the Japanese toys, and he had a lot of figures from stuff that we didn't have at the time, like Cell and Boo and everything. And he had like anime, like, and that was my first ever image when he had all this crap, and he would show me Japanese episodes with the subtitles. So that was like how I got into those two things, and those were like two biggest anime at the time, like those biggest three, like Sailor Moon, Speed Racer, and Dragon Ball Z, like the first ones I could ever really remember myself getting into. And on the topic of talking about earliest anime memories there, let's talk about Studio Ghibli. Quite frankly, I never watched too much Studio Ghibli when I was younger in the 90s, but I did used to have the old VHS tape of My Neighbor Totoro with the old English dub. I forgot, like, before like they had Disney redo it. I have now, and I have that entire I have all those movies pretty much on Blu-ray right now, Blu-ray DVD. But I used to have My Neighbor Totoro, and that was before I knew anything about Studio Ghibli or anything as well. And I loved that movie growing up. Sadly, I got rid of that VHS tape like years ago. But that was one of my earliest anime memories as well, was watching My Neighbor Totoro on VHS, the old English dub. And then later on down the line, when it comes to Studio Ghibli, I didn't really get into Studio Ghibli really until end of high school. I remember watching a few movies when they did like that month of Miyazaki, like the Studio Ghibli thing that Cartoon Network did back around like 2004 or 5. I remember seeing bits and pieces of Kiki's Delivery Service, and I think Spirited Away, and what else did they have around the time? Lapia Castle in the Sky. I forgot what movies they had in there, but I seen bits and pieces, but I didn't really pay too much attention to them, sadly, and I wish I did get into Studio Ghibli as a main big fan of it as much as I am now back when I was younger. But I didn't really until I got out of like high school. I was getting out of high school and I just marathoned YouTube videos where people, when people used to upload anime to YouTube, and part 1, part 2, part 3, that's when I first got into it. I came across stuff like, oh, this is cool movies, and then I started watching them and I love them. I love Studio Ghibli a whole heck of a lot. I just wish I would have got into the movies as a whole more when I was younger than, getting out of high school and everything, and appreciate them. But at the same time, I think it makes me appreciate them more, up front, seeing them at an older age too, I guess. But yeah, that was about 10 years ago. So yeah, there you go. But I finished off high school and I was just marathoning like, okay, Cat Returns, Castle in the Sky, Spirited Away, Grave of the Fireflies, and all those movies, about 10 of them. And then I started watching more as the years went on. But I'm getting sidetracked with Studio Ghibli right now, but that was like during high school. But there was a time period between Sailor Moon, My Neighbor Totoro, Speed Racer, and Dragon Ball Z into that. Like, obviously, in the late 90s, Pokemon was a big, huge, major thing, and I was watching the anime when we used to live in my old house, and I got into that. I Pokemon Blue for Christmas in like 98, I think. Pokemon Blue was my first ever Pokemon game. I got into the card games. There was like that Pokemon boom of the late 90s, the early 2000s. That, obviously, like a lot of you probably out there, I was hooked into that. So that was my next major thing, I think, after Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Speed Racer, and obviously My Neighbor Totoro. But that was more of a side thing. Like I said, I didn't really get into Studio Ghibli till later on. Then there's Pokemon. Then we moved to my new house, and then there was like the Digimon, Beyblade, Monster Rancher, and stuff like that kind of hooked me out, like the typical like shonen boy type shows, which I still love. Digimon and Beyblade for the most part. Monster Rancher was like a hit or miss show. It was okay, it wasn't great, but I really wish I would have gotten to the games. I never really played the games, I more so watched the anime. But yeah, those were the shows that got me around like the early 2000s, like the late 90s, early 2000s, those shows, after the days of like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. And then after that, I think that was mostly my bulk of my anime until like, and Yu-Gi-Oh came when Yu-Gi-Oh when they started doing Yu-Gi-Oh, and then Inuyasha, I think. Yu-Gi-Oh was like the big thing, like on Kids WB, and they were still doing Pokemon. I was still watching Pokemon, although I kind of started falling out of the Pokemon anime around the time they went to Johto. Even though I still love the games, I just kind of fell out of the anime specifically around that time period, which I do recall mentioning in one of my YouTube videos before. I would love to go back and watch the entire series up into all these seasons now. I just need to find a way of watching them. If you guys know any way, I would please, just let me know. But then there was like this, and this was around like the early to mid 2000s. Okay, coming off of like Monster Rancher, Beyblade, Digimon, and Metabots and stuff like that. I got into Yu-Gi-Oh around 2000, like 1, 2, whenever they started bringing the series out, and it was on Kids WB. Then around 2004-ish, 5-ish, I kind of started getting into Inuyasha when, Adult Swim. I was watching Adult Swim, and that kind of opened my eyes to different anime too. And that was around the time I really started realizing that anime could be very sexual and very, very mature. Like, wow, yeah. That, like, I think it was Inuyasha and probably some other anime around the time. I don't really remember it, but Inuyasha is the only one that really comes to my mind. And then that was around 2005-ish, and like I kind of got into a certain anime called Fruits Basket. I don't know why. I love I love the concept. I remember reading online. This was when we were starting to really kind of get like at least dial-up internet we had at the time, and reading up on these characters and stuff like that. And I love the concept of like animal transformations and like the concept of this cursed family. And it just sounded interesting. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna buy it. I just bought it on a whim just because the concept sounded interesting. And I started getting the Fruits Basket. And this was the start of something different, I think, for me in anime. Because up until this point, most of the shows I was watching were super action-oriented, super, for boys, like shonen type stuff, super action-oriented shows for the most part, besides, or older, men kind of thing, like more action-oriented shows. Fruits Basket was like the first show I watched that was more so like a comedy, romantic type of thing, more story-driven with like character, personalities and character development and sadness and comedy and romance and everything. And I love that a lot too. And then that's when everything kind of went and moved on for me in anime, in terms of anime, really. Then I started like expanding. It wasn't just like action oriented stuff like Bleach and One Piece and Naruto and everything. I started watching stuff that was more like open, like maybe sometimes specifically for girls, even though I hate that concept because I think in terms of the world of anime it's so diversive and everything that even stuff that might be more targeted towards boys or girls or boys can watch too. Like I said, I grew up with Sailor Moon. I love Sailor Moon so freaking much, and that was around the time like early high school when I got back into Sailor Moon 2. I only seen the first 2 seasons really growing up, and then that's when I started buying the Blu-ray, the DVDs, and then I got to see S and Super S at the time, and still waiting for Stars because I never decided to watch in Japanese. I'm waiting for Viz to dub that. But then that's when I expanded, like I'd say around mid-high school into now the college years. That's when I watched so much more anime because then we had Netflix and Hulu came out, and I was watching a ton of anime on YouTube and everything. I seen Ranma 1/2 and all these other different shows, like older anime, newer anime, watching stuff from Tatsunoko around the time Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was coming out, even though, like I said, I started out watching Speed Racer, but I never really watched too many other Tatsunoko shows, really, for the most part. And then watching a lot of stuff on YouTube, even though that's technically illegal. I don't do that anymore. But like I watch stuff on Netflix and Hulu now. I have my own collection and stuff like that, Crunchyroll and everything. But yeah, that's basically the gist of where my anime origins into like where I am now kind of is. And I wanted to just kind of let you guys know the road I took specifically to get to where I am now. Like I said, I started off with basically Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Speed Racer, My Neighbor Totoro, moved on to Pokemon, Digimon, Beyblade, Metabots, Monster Rancher, then Yu-Gi-Oh came, then Inuyasha came, and then the likes of like Tokyo Mew Mew, when it was Mew Mew Power, I watched it on 4Kids. I seen the 4Kids dub in, like I said, Fruits Basket, and then that's what expanded it. I seen Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, and the Studio Ghibli movies, and Mamoru hosted the movies, and every little thing since then, from freaking Little Witch Academia, and Psycho Pass, to Hellsing Ultimate, and all this other stuff since then. Sailor Moon Crystal now. Growing up loving Sailor Moon, I'm watching Sailor Moon Crystal too. So yeah, them redoing that. So Yu Yu Hakusho, I also seen around that Inuyasha time period as well. So that's kind of my time span. That's kind of my history in the world of anime. And just wanted to let you know. I mean, maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't care where I came from, but I kind of like to hear where people like, not just in terms of anime, but like, okay, you're a video game fan. Where did you start with video games? You're a wrestling fan. You're a, drawing. You love to draw. When did you start to draw, kind of thing? Or you like movies or books or TV shows. I love learning origins of people, how they became a fan of something. So maybe you liked hearing what I talked about. Maybe you love to understand where I came from. Maybe you didn't. I just want to do this video just to let you guys know, especially because I want to start doing more YouTube content that is anime oriented, and not just video games and stuff like that. Basically, just to let you know, that's all I want to do. So put in the comments what you think. You guys, where did you men and women, you boys and girls out there watching this YouTube video, when did you start watching anime? What was your first anime memories? What got you into it? What, like, is it a big thing with your family or your friends, or did you travel abroad and see this stuff like in Japan or something, or anywhere else? Or how did you get into the world of anime if you are an anime fan? And I would love to just to share our things down in the comment section, our memories, and talk about it. And as anime fans, let's just have fun, I guess. So that's about it. My name is Sniping is Fun. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day, and see y'all later in the next video. More anime videos coming, more video game videos coming, wrestling, drawing, top 10s, the 5, game design videos, whatever the heck else. See you all later. Bye.